business, Parks and Rec, Chris Bilo.
Okay. So for 26, just a couple notes before I get in and go through some of the highlights and some of these lines. Revenue for all three departments is, again, for Parks and Rec, there is a senior line, there's a rec line, and there's a park line. So between the three for revenue lines, our 2026 totals, $1,338,100, which is a department-wide increase of about 10% from 25 to 26 for revenue. From an expense standpoint, for all three departments, 2026, our total is $2,913,836, which is an increase from 25 of about 4%. So revenue is up about 10%, expenses up about 4%, which is kind of how we like to operate. 2026 budget does not include any new full-time staff, so we are operating with the same staff level that we are in 2025. And then another highlight that I just want to mention as I go through this is in 2026, the department will continue to utilize, from an expense standpoint, for senior programming and as well as youth programming, the Monroe County ARPA funds that were made available this past year. As that carries over into the 2026 purchase year, so we'll take advantage of that. So we've been able to take advantage of it from a budget standpoint on the expense side. So first department up, 6772, which is our program for the aging, or senior line. That department consists of one full-time person, our coordinator, and then one 20-hour part-time employee who is who's our nutrition aide, works in the kitchen, prepares, gets things ready for our senior lunch program. No real change to that as you look at that from an expense standpoint. Really the only change that we had from a reduction that was significant for this year is some of a couple other department heads have mentioned on 20011 computer licensing and equipment that's reduced down. Now that all of our computers in the department are up to date for Windows 11, so we were able to reduce that expense. Other than that, we kind of expect everything else, slight increase like we do every year for our provisions, which is the senior lunch program. And again, supplies and miscellaneous, you see a slight reduction there, as well as up above, just above where Paul's got it highlighted now, capital purchases. That's because we plan to take advantage of that county ARPA money. We can use that for programming, again, from a senior standpoint. It's designed and utilized specifically for that program area. So not much change there from an expense standpoint on the seniors. Revenue is, I think, underneath this. Yeah. So we did increase, we do have an emphasis coming this year. Last year when we added a full-time staff person to the department, we were able to restructure our programmers, and that allowed us to have our senior coordinator, Daphne, really sort of have an emphasis on senior programming. So we're expecting to see an increase in that senior recreation line this coming year, because that is for programs not related to the senior lunch program. So that's why we see that increase there. Senior, that's the nutrition revenue line, that is for the senior lunch program, and then that's the county reimbursement. Very difficult to judge. We try to use actuals at the end of the year, but it's all based on participation and how many lunches are served. We try to keep our lunch count as close to our actual numbers as we possibly can. Our lunch count average right now is around 18 per day. We do see some days where we're up into the mid-30s, and we do see some days when we're down into the lower teens. So that takes care of 6772. So we can go on to the rec side. So 7020 consists of, obviously we have a recreation director, we have one office manager, we have one finance clerk, and then we have 4.5 positions for programming. Within the expense side under rec, 10087 is our administrative support. That's obviously our front office staff. Just so from a point of clarity, the rec center is open about 115 hours per week. And that, while that building is open, that does require staffing. And as we go through and have part-time staff, obviously with the minimum wage continuing to increase, that affects our bottom line. So to cover those 115 hours, it does have an impact on our expense line. 10093, which is strength staff, that is an increase as well. That's tied back to our revenue, though from a membership standpoint, that is specifically tied to fitness programs that we provide. So as we continue to increase our membership level, we try to increase our fitness programs as well. 10093, which is a increase in fitness instruction. Again, same thing. It's all based off from our membership base and what programs are being offered. 20011, computer equipment, similar like I just set up above. Last year we've been able to cut that about in half. Last year was significant just because of the number of computers that we needed to replace. So now this is just for licensing and for a couple of monitors that need to be replaced. 40067, that's one of our big ones. That is our cloud-based storage system for our RecTrack, which obviously takes care of all of our registration. There's an increase in there because this in 26 we'll have a full year of our cell app, which will become live hopefully early this fall, where we'll be able to actually have registration. People will be able to do registration straight from their phone. So that will be an increase to our current RecTrack offering. 40218, membership training, that's another one I'll highlight. That line is where we have all of our memberships to any of the services that we provide for the department. Things like Constant Contact, which we do our monthly e-news. That's where we have our Sling, which is the front office scheduling system that's taken from there. We have a new software that allows us to manage our leagues and athletic programs. It's called Team Snap. So that cost is baked into there, and all those are annual costs that just be able to allow us to be able to perform our duties. Rest of the expense lines that are pretty similar, from year to year. Not a lot of change. Program independent contractors, again, that's all based on revenue. As you see revenue go up, that obviously has a direct tie straight back to our contractors from a line-to-line item standpoint. Rest of the items are pretty standard and straightforward. From a revenue standpoint, a couple of changes just to highlight. That very first line, 2002. This year we are changing it. That's why you can see in 25 had a revenue expectation of 3,500, and this year it's 420,000. Basically, what we're doing is we're recategorizing how we collect or where we place our revenue. The reason we're doing that, it'll give us an easier way to be able to track all of our camps. So from a camp standpoint, we'll be able to make sure that all of our camps are under one line rather than being lumped in with other programs. So obviously from a camp standpoint, we have preschool, K-5, playground, trip camp, plus during the school year we have conference day camp. So this will make it easier for us to just be able to monitor those. And then that's why 2003 goes from 400,000 down to 23. So WPRD programs will basically now be any non-contract program that we offer. So if we offer a program that's taught by a staff person, revenue is collected in this line. The next line is where the revenue comes in regards to the independent contractors. So these are contract lines. So any program that we offer that is managed or taught by an outside contractor, and we have a contract in place with them, this is where the revenue is captured for that. So just a little, I'll say, clerical change in how we do it to make tracking easier for staff and just be able to monitor those revenues throughout the year. 2011, that actually we will be renaming that to insurance-based fees. So again, we continue to see a nice increase in 25. We had a revenue expectation of around 62,000. We bumped that to 80 for next year. We continue to see our insurance-based members increase. So that's a real good thing for us, and we're at record highs with the number of seniors that are in the building as part of an insurance-based program. Fitness classes, 2035. Fitness classes, last year, if you recall, what we did is we pulled out Premier memberships used to be baked into that line. We pulled that out, so now that 2035 is basically anything that somebody comes in and is not a current member and has to pay for a class, so if it's a drop-in or if it's a one-time thing, that's where that revenue is captured. We made that decision last year to categorize 2045 for strictly membership. So all of our fitness memberships, whether it's a Premier or a family or a senior membership, whatever it is, a paid membership, goes into that line, and we're able to see continued steady increase. You know, we track this obviously on a monthly basis. The number of households that we build continues to climb. We have not changed our fee structure in several years. As we benchmark every year, we feel like the services that we're providing is, again, as a community facility, is right where it should be. So we've been fortunate that our membership base continues to climb, therefore our revenue shows that on that. Sale of equipment, 2665, that is, we'll be selling off one truck from our parks department along with some other equipment that's slated to go to auction in 26. And then obviously 2780, that's the concession stand sale. So our concession stand is for over here at Miracle Field. That concession stand is open for any or for all Miracle Field activities, plus some other special events and some other activities that go on. So we do have revenue that is generated, and now it has its own revenue line rather than, again, being lumped into our WPRD program line. So again, our revenue is tracking up, which is a good thing. Parks Department, so make sure I write notes here. I'm not supposed to. All right, so 20059, capital improvement line. Continue, or before I start, so 7110 Parks, obviously we have one Parks Director. We have 1.5 facilities person, so that's full-time, then a 20-hour-a-week person. Then we have 4 Parks GO, which are our park laborers. So that's the structure within our Parks Department. 20059 capital improvement line. This is to continue with updating of the parking lot program that we started a few years ago. We've been able to update the parking lot and the entrance to first responders 2 years ago, and then this past year, or this year, we've been able to update the parking lot at the Arboretum. 2 very necessary projects that we're very pleased with, so we're going to continue with that effort. Slightly less than this past year as we look to focus at Kent Park and also the Parks Barn. I'm not sure if anybody's ever pulled into the Parks Barn or not, but it is severely needs to be paved and redone. So we're adding that to our list, which will obviously make the wear and tear on vehicles and trailers, etc., a lot less. So those are our 2 big items for 26 as we go in from a project standpoint. Capital purchase for equipment, 20063. We are putting in for what is called a Ventrac mower. That mower will allow us to be able to get to locations in the spring. When we have a wet spring, we are not able to have our mowing contractors get into because they don't have the proper equipment. This piece of equipment will be able to keep up with that mowing service in the early spring. This past year was a perfect example for it. We couldn't touch the outfields of Kent Park until almost June with our commercial mowers. But the Ventrac mower would allow us to be able to do it. We actually demoed it this year a day after one of our commercial mowers that stuck. We were able to mow the outfield with a Ventrac mower. So we're looking to purchase that machine. That'll give us not only the ability to mow those locations, those wet lake locations around town, but also have a boom mower which will be able to help with areas around parking lots that we have for like several of our trailheads, because those aren't part of our mowing maintenance program. Those are actually mowed by the park staff with our current zero turn, so this machine will actually help with that process as well. Capital Purchase Park Improvement Fund, that is basically the fund that we use to fix, repair, update, and make any changes that we need to in any of the parks. That generally is a fund that we go to that is beyond our, what I'll say is our normal operating day-to-day type of expense. So that's where we'll pull those funds from. 40101, the vehicle lease. As I mentioned, we're going to have a revenue for selling off a truck, so we're actually looking to replace one truck. We're looking to replace a 2016 Chevy 2500. That vehicle is reaching its end of life very quickly. So we've been pleased with the new vehicles that is part of the enterprise program that we've had. So we're looking to replace it with a Chevy 2500, which will put our lease count at 1 facilities van and then 3 parks trucks. And then 40248 lawn service, that is our other big expense that we have. Obviously, that is a contract, so that's built-in cost. We're able to keep that cost under control. This year's been a little more challenging than some in the past, just because of the growing season that we had, especially early on. But we've been able to sort of, I'll say, catch up a little bit here late as things started to dry out, and we haven't had to mow. As part of that service, we have the ability to cancel mow jobs or weekly mowing, which can help sort of keep our expense in check. The revenue line that's tied to parks is obviously our lodge rental, sort of a fixed number, kind of consistent from year to year. We do have some, say, group rentals or usage of parks that does get built into this as well. So we did estimate a slight increase for 26. That takes care of the parks, so it takes care of all 3 departments. Questions? Thank you, Chris.
Thank you. I don't have any questions. I like the work you're doing to separate the line items so you can see what's happening in specific programs. I think that'll help over time.